Hey guys! So today I'm going to be doing the music genre book tag. It was created by Cats and Camera, and I will leave a link to the original video in the description below. I'm also supposed to give music recommendations, but forewarning, I only have a few music recommendations because I mainly only listen to like one music genre. It's alternative rock, and I have a bunch for like indie, I suppose. It's like indie slash alternative, like it's whatever you want to call it, honestly. But yeah, I that's really all I listen to. But I listen to a little bit of other genres, so I'm going to include those recommendations as well. I'm limiting my my indie recommendations when I get there to my favorite band, so you won't be swamped with recommendations. There's just going to be a few. But anyway, it's 20 questions, so let's get going. The first one is Pop, which is, what already established book gang would you love to join? The answer is obvious. It's the Gangsy. I'm holding up the Raven Boys for once. It's so exciting because I always want to hold up the Raven Boys because, like, it's the first book in the series, and it makes the most sense to hold it up when I'm talking about the Raven cycle. But I never had it, so I always had to hold up the Raven King or Blue Lily Lily Blue. But now I can finally hold up the Raven Boys. Anyway, I'd love to join the Gangsy because, like, they're like squad goals, honestly. Like, if I had a squad like the Gangsy, I could die happy. My Pop recommendation, because I actually kind of listen to Pop a little bit, is Hayley Kiyoko. So, yeah, if you haven't listened to Hayley Kiyoko, you should totally listen to her. She is, in fact, lesbian Jesus. And honestly, her music is just good. So, give her a listen. Number 2 is Punk, a book under 200 pages, and I don't listen to Punk, so I don't have any recommendations for that, but my book choice is Beneath the Sugar Sky. If you want to see my review of it, I'll link it up there, or up there. I'm not sure. But anyway, I love this book. Read Every How to Doorway, and then read this book, because it's amazing. Number 3 is Pop Punk, transport a character into another book. And so I am gonna do something real weird. I'm gonna transport Achilles from the Song of Achilles into Percy Jackson. But you may be wondering, why are you holding up The Last Olympian, R? And I'm gonna be like, because Achilles is actually in The Last Olympian. So I'm transporting Achilles into a book series where there's already an Achilles, and this Achilles is gonna be real mad at this Achilles' like appearance and like general demeanor, because like this Achilles is nothing like this Achilles, and it's just, I want them to interact because I want this Achilles to just go off on this Achilles, because honestly, Rick, you could have done so much better with your Achilles representation. It's so bad. My music recommendations for Pop Punk were gonna be Fall Out Boy and Panic at the Disco, but like, everybody knows Fall Out Boy and Panic at the Disco, so like, why should I recommend it if you already probably know of it? So that's really the only pop punk I've ever listened to. I mean, also My Chemical Romance a little bit. I never was a huge My Chemical Romance fan. I know like 2 of their songs. Don't at me, please. Number 4 is Grime, a book that deals with population hierarchy, e.g. upper/working or royal/peasants, etc. And I went with Good Omens because it has angels and demons, and that's kind of a population hierarchy. I don't know. I didn't really know what to put for this question, and yeah, I went with Good Omens. Also, I didn't know this was a music genre until now, so I literally don't have any recommendations for it. Number 5 is R&B, or relationship advice, an established couple who are not compatible, and I went with Peeta and Katniss from the Hunger Games series. Like, you know, they're okay, I guess, but like, I really don't think they're that compatible. I'm not on board with Katniss ending up with Gale either. Like, don't get me wrong. I still kind of, I guess, ship Katniss and Peeta, but like, they're still not that compatible. Like, really, they're just together because they both survived the Hunger Games, and that's it. Like, Katniss is basically a Ace, and I will stand by that. She does not need a man. Number 6 is Rap, a long book that you flew through. I don't really have a long book that I flew through, but I have a series that I flew through. So, yeah, I went for All for the Game because I read this in less than 2 weeks. And that is pretty good in my opinion. And I felt like I flew through this. And my Goodreads says that I took less than 2 weeks to fly through this. And that's pretty good, in my opinion. Number 7 is Metal, a misunderstood character who is actually a sweet bean. And I went with the Twinyards from All for the Game. So I went with Andrew because Andrew is misunderstood in the book series, but he's also loved by the fandom, and he is actually a sweet bean and my son, and I will fight anybody over him. But also, I went with Aaron, his twin, because Aaron, while not being, like, misunderstood really in the books, is completely misunderstood by the fandom. The fandom hates Aaron for some reason, and I have no idea why, because Aaron is also a sweet bean. Like, I don't know why the fandom hates Aaron, honestly, and come at me, fam, because I can defend Aaron as well as I can defend Andrew, so I picked both of them. Number 8 is Melodic Hardcore, a book with beautiful prose, and I went with the Raven Cycle as a whole, but I'm gonna hold up the Raven Boys because I already have it out. So, yeah, Maggie Stiefvater really knows how to write, and I was gonna hold up All the Crooked Saints, but I'm not actually finished. I'm looking at it. It's on the floor. It fell. But, yeah, I haven't finished it yet, so I decided that I'd hold up another Maggie Stiefvater book. So, anyway, I love Maggie Stiefvater. She writes pretty fantastic prose. Number 9 is EDM, or a colorful cover. And I went with The Dangerous Art of Blending In because of all the sprinkles and, like, the rainbow blending. And there's more sprinkles on the back, which makes it even more colorful. And I love it. I love this cover a lot, y'all. This cover is actually one of my favorite covers. Number 10 is Country, or a book that deals with religion. And I don't really have any books that deal with religion. So does Good Omens count? Because that's the closest thing I have to a book dealing with religion. Which is not saying much because this book doesn't really deal with religion. It just deals with, like, angels and demons. And, like, I mean, I guess that counts as religion. But, like, does it really? Number 11 is K-pop / J-rock, a manga or comic / a book originally written in another language. I don't read any manga or comics, really. I have a book that was originally written in another language because Les Mis was originally written in French. So that's my answer to that question. Number 12 is Reggae, or a book celebrating a different culture or marginalized characters. And I went with Let's Talk About Love because it celebrates both marginalized sexuality and marginalized race issues because she's black and she's ace. So she's, like, super marginalized. Number 13 is Death Metal, a dark, disturbing, or taboo book. And for that, I went with the Raven King. Not the Raven Cycle Raven King, but the All for the Game Raven King. Because, oh my god, y'all, this book went from 0 to 60 real quick. So, trigger warnings for, like, I think abuse is mentioned in this. Rape is for sure mentioned in this. It's not a super dark book, but, like, it's definitely probably the darkest of All for the Game, and that dark shit is real triggering for people who have been through what it's about. Number 14 is Indie, my favorite, and the question is 2 books with similar plots or covers, and I went with similar covers because these don't have similar plots at all, but they both have birds on the cover, And The Raven King is also the title of one of the books in the Raven Cycle. So, you know, there's that. Also, my recommendations for indie music. You should definitely listen to the Wombats. The Wombats are my favorite band, and I just love them so much. If you want more indie recommendations, just like hit me up in the comments and I'll give you some. 15 is Nu Metal, a book that uses more than one element in its storytelling, and I don't really have a book that does that because all of the books that I read are just regular books. So I don't know how to answer this question, so we're just going to move on. Number 16 is acoustic. Strip back a plot into one sentence. The Iliad. War. What is it good for? That's the sentence, but the answer to it, which does not count because it would be more than a sentence, but the answer is honor and glory, apparently. And my recommendation for acoustic is Keaton Henson. Keaton Henson is, I love him so much, and he is amazing. He mainly does acoustic, like, there's like one song he does, 2 songs maybe, that have like electric guitar in them, but it's mainly just acoustic guitar, sometimes piano, and it's just real good, sad music. I have a sticker on my alcohol water bottle that says Keaton Henson is my jam. It's featured in The Flesh. If you ever want to watch In the Flesh, Keaton Henson is basically the soundtrack. And it's amazing, and I love him, and go listen to Keaton Henson. Number 17 is Emo, or a book that made you cry or feel all the feels, and we all know what we're going for with this. It's the Song of Achilles. This book definitely made me cry and feel all the feels, and then it's still making me feel all the feels 3 years later. So, that's just how it be. Number 18 is Unsigned, or an indie release or unknown book, and I'm gonna go with Love and Bubbles, because I just read it, and it's an indie book / an unknown book, kind of. And I'm going to link to my review up there. Number 19 is Dubstep, Genre Bending, a book that is hard to categorize. And this question was really hard for me, because all of the books I read are pretty easy to categorize. But I went with Les Mis, because, yeah, it's a classic, but, like, what if it came out now? What would you categorize it then? Huh? You don't know, do ya? That's why I picked it. And finally, number 20 is Can't Be Pigeonholed. So switch the genre of a book and explain. So I went with 6 of Crows, which again, I can finally hold up. And I went with 6 of Crows because 6 of Crows is now going to be a comedy. 6 of Crows is a pure comedy. It's like Brooklyn Nine-Nine, but instead of cops, it's about these 6 kids breaking into an ice court. And it's like also kind of like The Office, because I imagine it probably has like interviews with people from like time to time. Like it's a mashup between Brooklyn Nine-Nine and The Office. I haven't actually seen The Office, but I know they do that interview part. So I think that would be funny. I think it would be great. That's all of the questions, and that's all of my recommendations. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.